Hey there, welcome back to ISHI 34. I'm Jordan, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Danny. Danny, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thank you. My name is Danny Hellwig. I'm the Director of Laboratory Development for Intermountain Forensics. We are a non-profit private DNA testing laboratory based in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Awesome. Now, before we jump into the meat of the conversation, I got a few, more personal questions for you. First of all, how did you get involved in the forensics field?
Oh, it's an interesting story. I originally was interested in being an optometrist, eye doctor, but I did one internship at a hospital laboratory and realized that was not for me. What looks better, A or B, C or D? I got a little bored of that and decided to reach out into something more applied. DNA forensics was right there, and I developed a passion, loved it. Something new and different every day.
You might say that you're now working with a different kind of clarity and resolution.
Very well said.
You can use that one in the future if you want.
Stealing that one, absolutely, for sure.
Absolutely. Now, you also mentioned that this is not your first time at ISHI, is that correct?
No.
How many times have you been to ISHI?
Quite a few times, actually. I couldn't even put it in words. Between public laboratory, private laboratory, and now Intermountain Forensics, I've been here quite a few times, probably 6, 7, 8 maybe times.
Wow, that's great. What keeps you coming back?
The community. It's such a great spot to reconnect with all of the community and share ideas and share our passion, and it means a lot to have that space where we as a community can get together and really discuss and talk about the things that matter to us. It's appreciated in a sacred space.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, in the time that you've been coming to ISHI, how have you seen trends and changes in the forensics industry being reflected in the things that are being talked about here at the symposium?
It's amazing how the different technologies pop up and become a paramount topic in each ISHI conference, which is fantastic. You're seeing from way back in here's the new kits for CODIS, and then Rapid, and now and probabilistic genotyping, and now I think forensic investigative genealogy is such a staple. It's such a great platform to have where, again, we as a community can get and discuss these things in a great group. So watching that emerge has been pretty interesting.
Certainly there's some very fascinating technologies being talked about here this week and new methods. So talking a little bit more specifically, tell me a little bit more about what Intermountain does.
So Intermountain Forensics is we are a private lab, but we're a non-profit private lab. We do all kind of the similar things to private laboratories in that we have traditional CE approaches for sexual assault kit backlog or cold cases, that kind of thing. But we're more focused on newer technologies, and specifically DNA sequencing. So we have next generation sequencing up and running for STR, YSTRs, as well as, and the really big topic, genetic genealogy. So we have forensic investigative genetic genealogy that we provide laboratory services for on both the Contelligence product as well as whole genome sequencing, and we have our own bioinformatics. So we're all of which are fully accredited, ISO 17025 accredited. So kind of trying to fill gaps where we can and help the community wherever possible.
Awesome. Now, for anyone watching who wasn't at ISHI 33 last year, one of the big topics last year that there were several presentations about was the Tulsa Race Massacre. And I understand that Intermountain Forensics actually is playing a really important role in the work that's being done today to find answers about the Tulsa Race Massacre and identify some people and identify the remains that are being recovered. Can you tell me about your involvement in that and how Intermountain is contributing to that effort?
Yes, and I have to say thank you to the ISHI community for bringing this out as a topic at last year's event. It was humbling and really helpful to raise awareness for this. And we're honored, honestly, to be a part of this project. But essentially the City of Tulsa, in a project called the 1921 Graves, is going into community sites within the City of Tulsa to find sites that may be places where buried remains could be Tulsa Race Massacre victims. And so they've done multiple exhumations of different individuals, and it's our job to take those bones from 100 years ago plus and turn them into forensic investigative genealogy profiles that then can be, we have a team of, an amazing team of genealogists who are working on actually identifying those. So we've had, we've been working with the City of Tulsa and many different partners to make this project a reality, and have gotten quite a good many results where we've gotten 7 actual profiles from these individuals that are being worked on, and we're getting closer and closer to naming some of these potential victims of the race massacre. And the awareness that's coming out of it has been absolutely fantastic. Many people don't know what happened. There's a black mark, a tragic stain in our nation's history, and one that really needs to be more awareness involved. And if we can provide some names to that, I mean, that is such a humbling and an amazing experience. I'm just proud to be a part of it.
I love that you mention, the awareness piece of this, because certainly it's not something that's very widely talked about. It's not taught in history classes quite as much. And I think that, just raising awareness of what happened is certainly an amazing thing to be working on. But the fact that you now have 7 complete profiles is unbelievable. I mean, we're talking about something that happened 100 years ago. As someone who's not working in the forensics lab every day, I'm curious, what are some of the unique challenges to building those profiles when we're dealing with, remains that have been in the ground for 100 years?
The challenges were extreme, and to bring back to your first point, if there's anything that I've noticed through this project is that people don't know it, and just having the chance to talk about it and raise awareness has been really helpful. And last year's session was amazing to do that. We went into this project not knowing if this is something that would be possible even. We feel that we have an amazing technology to throw at the problem, in that we're using ancient DNA techniques, paleogenomic techniques to do this whole genome sequencing, and we have tremendous partners to do so. But you never know until you, and these samples are absolutely the most challenging samples I have ever had in my life. As you said, a century in the ground, in some of the worst conditions you can imagine. The Oak Lawn Cemetery, where these exhumations have been pulled from, gets flooded every year, and so you've got rapid degradation of these very, very difficult samples. And to see some of them come up and work and actually develop profiles, and we'll keep no stone unturned. We're definitely going to keep working on samples until we can get every name. But the day that first profile came up, that was a welcome day, because it just proved to ourselves that the technologies and the partners that we've got available, they were the right technologies to choose and the right partners to be aligned with, because I mean, the success is there, and it's amazing that this is actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, so many things have to come together to make that data possible and to find those answers. If you're to look forward several years from now, what would be the ideal success state that you're seeing a few years from now for this project? Well,
the exhumations and research continues. Just now, like literally right now, they're back at Oak Lawn Cemetery, and they've found new spots, but every individual that we are able to identify and put a name to is another story and another data point that tells us, okay, maybe this one isn't a race massacre victim, but this, number one, this individual deserved to have their name back, and number two, all right, now we know who this person is and their story, and it can dial in a little bit more as to where to find the next. In terms of forward thinking, we're just going to keep. I mean, this is a project that I don't expect to end for decades, and a project that deserves that kind of time and commitment and just really nose to the grindstone, get it done. I expect the technology to continue to improve. We've learned tremendous amounts from the very, very, very degraded samples that we've worked so far, and we're getting better. And I think that more recoveries will happen, and more outreach will occur. We need the community, the public's help to build these databases and put the right names in them to connect to people that have been in the ground for 100 years plus. So I think it's just going to escalate, and we'll see more names, we'll see more community involvement and more stories, and putting names to those faces is just as rewarding an experience as I love it. It makes me, it's very humbling and such an honor.
I hear you keep returning to the word stories and the importance of honoring these stories, and that's something that's true everywhere, but particularly here at ISHI, the power of story for honoring individuals and for giving meaning to the work that we're doing is just you can hardly put words to it.
I can't agree more. And in this forensic investigative genealogy journey that we've went on, you see every individual that we put a name to, 10, 15, 20 years of cold case. It's just such a cool story. You put an individual and you can actually go into their background and see what happened and give that to their family and loved ones, and some of which had no idea that, had been waiting decades, and there's no more greater boost to your morale working in this field than to provide that. It's all what we do. It's this community is just it's what we do. We're not here for $1 million businesses, and we're here because the work is important, and those stories just give you that little extra boost to move on to the next one and get that next solve.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. It's been a blast talking to you. I've learned a lot, and it sounds like you're doing truly amazing work out there in the community. So definitely keep that up. Enjoy your time here at ISHI 34, and thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for hosting it, and it's an honor to be here.